everybody. I decided that I would show you the things that I'm working on right now. I'm working on a new wholesale collection, and I thought it would be fun to kind of follow along as the collection develops. It's something that I've been wanting to do, things that were a little more petite, a little more delicate. My tendency is to work big and bold, and I think for this particular collection and the audience that I'm hoping to connect with, I want the pieces to be much more delicate. So I'm going to be making a series of the gravel like I have in my necklace, the vertebrae beads. I call them vertebrae just because the way that the center core reminds me of how just the stacked vertebrae. So it's going to be a series of chain links, delicate things, tiny little links. I've got some, calling them sort of broken shard pendants, and I'm going to be doing some in bronze as well. So I've got some of those all started off, so I'm pretty excited about that. So it'll be a combination of things, and so I thought I'd show you just how I go about making some of these. I know there are some jewelry designers that have some work that the components are similar to what I do, but pretty much anything that I've seen out on the regular market it's always cast. And I think the thing that really sets my jewelry apart is that each one of these components, each one of these little beads is made individually. Each one's made by hand and by my own hands. And so we'll start with, right now, let's do the gravel. Actually, I'm going to let that sit out for just a minute there. And I think if the clay dries a little bit, it makes it, you get more interesting details and textures, and so I think I've got most of these pieces are gravel size, which is pretty tiny, and to do the vertebrae pieces, that takes a little bit more clay. So we're gonna take these pieces, put two of those together, and then break them into, I guess that was four of those together, and then break them into three. So that makes it, is that what I did? I don't know. Let's do four. Break them into three. Let's see where that gets us. That'll be, that still might be a little bit big. It's amazing what can happen with a small piece of clay. I'll set that aside. I'm using, for the center to shape these around, I'm using a steel rod. This is just something that I got at the home store. And then I have a piece of brass tubing, and also that's something that came from the home store. That's just a nice small shape. The first thing I do is I roll out a tiny little coil, and I'm going to shape that. Looks like that's this size. So we're going to shape that around here. I want to put, that's a slip, and I'm just going to put a little bit of that at the edge it's kind of like glue for the seam. Do that to get kind of a nice secure seam, and then I start pinching the edges. It's the other thing that I love about my jewelry, is it's always fingertips and pinched pieces. The other essential thing about doing this is no fingernails. Fingernails get in the way, so I have to keep my fingernails clipped down, which is something I've done ever since back in my days as a potter. And then I just pinch out the edges, gives them kind of a nice, and roll the inside. I want that to, gives it certainly a much more organic look. And here we are. Make sure that seam is connected. No, it's not quite connected. So if you mess up, give it a little spritz, water it down a little bit, ball it up, and start over again. That's the wonderful thing about metal clay. If you mess up, you just ball it up and start over. There we go. Wrap that back around. There we go. While I'm thinking about it, I'm going to put these back because I don't want the vertebrae pieces to dry out quite so much, because then they're hard to get the seam to stick and still have it flexible. So now I'm pinching that. Everything I do is always very organic, and that's the thing that I always get compliments on, and the reason it's organic. Oh, and see, now I've got too wet. Okay, we're just going to let that one rest. See, we mess up, we ball up, we start over again. I'll try that again. We'll try that. So I got slip on there. Okay, third time's a charm. Try not to get so much slip on there so that it sticks to the pipe, to the tube. Sticking works sometimes, but the way that I form these beads, sticking is not a good thing, because it messes with the getting it off the tube. Yeah, that's better. This one's already pretty stiff, so we're not going to work it too much, because then it will start to fall apart, which is a bad thing. Okay, so that took a little bit longer than normal. And the gravel beads, they look like gravel, so that I've kind of let that set up a little bit. This is my favorite tool. This was from the original metal clay toolkit back in 1997. This was something that I finally found out the origin of it. Back in the old days, Tim McCreight was the main guy for metal clay, and he had one of his students commissioned him to make, I think he said 150 or 200 of these, and it was a steel welding rod, and that the student formed and gave a nice point on one side and flanged out the other end, and then wrapped it with adhesive gauze, which has been changed, obviously, in whatever, 17, let's see, how many years is that? That's a really long time. 17, 18 years. It's been changed a couple of times. So for the gravel, also just holding this piece in my hand warms it up a little bit and dries it out more, so I get some more interesting pieces. I just go back and forth. The size of this rod is perfect for using for holes, because it's a great size for when it shrinks. So and I'm doing these for this particular group. These are doing some flatter ones to mix in with the more rounded, nuggety pieces. I just kind of go back and forth and back and forth, and that's it. So these are kind of spacers. These are actually a little big, so I think and then also have to remember that the thing with metal clay is it's going to shrink, so figuring out the shrinkage. I used to worry about something. There are times when I specifically need something something needs to be a particular size, but on the whole, I don't worry about it. I don't try to plan, or maybe it's been because I've been doing this so long, it's just kind of an intuitive thing. I don't know. Okay, so that's better. It's a little bit smaller. And we'll do a couple of thick ones. And just go back and forth and work it through. And then that also stretches the clay gradually so that it doesn't break. And then also gives some interesting dried, as the clay's drying from my hands, drying from the ceiling fan that I have on here in my studio. Okay, so those are good. Okay, two more real quick, and then we'll do another vertebrae bead. And this series, I'm excited about it. It's been a long time. I thought I was going to swear off trying to do a, quote, wholesale line. But I just recently kind of got inspired to put together a new little mini collection again. And I've got some, we'll see how this works. I've got some shops that I'm going to approach, and which is something that, I don't really want my business to get so big again like it used to be. At one point I had, I think, 50 wholesale accounts, and that was just too many. And it looks good on a resume and it looks good on your website, but that's a lot of work for one person. And that's all I did was work. So I think there's something to be said for a little bit more, that whole infamous work-life balance thing. But and I don't mind working a lot, but I don't want to feel like I have to work all the time. And there are times when, there were times, I was working 14-hour days, which was just nuts. When I'd be getting ready for, when I'd be holiday season and I'd be filling orders, and it was just not fun. So this time around, I'm going to just try to, so we'll see if it works. It'll basically be cold calling shops, and I think there's probably a couple of them that are already aware that I exist, so that helps. And then we'll go from there. So there's the little vertebrae beads. I want to open that center out a little bit more, because there's where that nice flange part comes in handy. Because I want to make sure I can get, these are going to be chain links, and so I need to be able to make sure I've got plenty of room to get those little sterling silver links. Okay, we'll do one more, and let's see, what's the other one that I'm going to do? Well, we're going to do gravel. So I've got my little list here of kind of planning my strategy for what the collection is going to be. It's going to be these little links, some of them sort of stacked on, kind of like what this is, stacked on nylon cord, or for a little higher end, it's always important to have price points, and so that buyers have, if they don't want to spend the money they like the look, but they want something less expensive than having it on sterling chain, then I'll have it on multiple links of the nylon cord. I was doing the plied cord for a few years, and and I like that look, but I also just started doing just taking the cord itself, and instead of plying it in a cord, just doing 4 layers of the cord. And I think it's actually kind of a minimal, sort of elegant look that I think is interesting. And then they'll end with my hook and link clasp that I do, and I'm doing a smaller version of that as well. So that's a little more delicate. Okay, so there's another one of the vertebrae beads. And I think that's enough for now. And thanks for joining me, and keep checking back, because I'm going to keep doing these, and we'll follow along with the collection as it grows, and who knows, maybe next time it'll have a name. Thanks. Bye.